Okay, here we go. This is my summary video. Because I've just spent 30 minutes talking to myself. Try and summarise what I've said. So firstly, I feel my mental composure, my threat level has dropped from DEFCON 5 right down to, I'm going to say DEFCON 1. 0 is when I'm funded, 1 is I'm not funded, but actually I'm very, very comfortable, very pleased I'm on the right track. 1 is because I need to be funded and there's a limited amount of money in the bank to keep going. There's a build up in the background and that very quickly becomes just a non-thing. That just disappears. So DEFCON 1 I'm going to say. I think that's pretty good. So decisions I've made. Focus on, so decision 1, focus on strategy, clarity. Decision 2, based on the responses from Ario, not looking at kill zones, I'm not looking at red news, other than the big 3, and then following the rules for the fivers, which is no new trades between 2 minutes before and 2 minutes after a news announcement. So that's largely going to impact any currencies that release news in the day, because Australia and Japan and New Zealand, their releases are basically overnight, so that's a non-starter. And the fivers, don't mind if you've got an open position that hits take profit or stop loss through a red news release. It's just opening a new trade into that release, so that's fine. An FTMO I've swapped from a day trade account, or a scalping account I suppose it would be called, to a swing account, so they don't care about news all weekend or overnight. And the fivers are the same, they don't care about over the weekend or overnight, but they don't really want to hold anything overnight, definitely not over the weekend. So it's a decision, whichever one that was. So clarity, no time zones, that's right, no kill zones, and not like waiting for news release other than the big 3 and the fivers rule I mentioned. And the next big thing is a different scope of instruments. So I had been looking at just EU and then gold. EU in the morning, just trading whatever I can find there, and then in the afternoon I'll look at gold and the EU. And then I had this idea of looking at gold from 1:30 till 5, EU from 12 until 3, because those were the inverted commas forex hours, and it was just a bit of a pain really. And I'm down on the 1 minute chart with those as well, and hunting for setups, and it was actually, I don't know, I did 1 week where actually at the end of the week I was actually positive, but then I look back at the week and I don't know whether the trades were actually good or not. Some of them were order flow, which I decided not to trade, so there's no point in looking at that. And those resistance disrespect ones may or may not have been adhering to the rules correctly, because I was still working out what the entries were for those. But anyway, it's kind of a moot point really, that. Decision 3, which I didn't ramble about earlier, so I'm just not going to look at past data that I collected or earlier trades. No point, I've done that. I think I've done that to death really. Assessed, reassessed, and there comes a point whereby it's no longer meaningful, and actually it's just sucking time from my day and my time and my mental capacity, which the only thing that matters is looking for new setups, which is what I'm doing. Wow, I nearly went on my arse. Yeah, with the weighted vest on, it's like an inverted pendulum. I feel like a weeble. So I'm not looking at collecting, and I'm not, decision 4, not look at collecting tons of data on trades I didn't take. So I'm just not going to collect data on any trades I don't take. In other words, if I see setups and patterns, I may post a query, having marked it up in Discord or a chat, or to Ario to see what he thinks. of the idea, but I'd be very open. I didn't trade it for whatever reason. So that's fine. So that's all I'll do. I do that just to keep a hand in. I think that's useful. Any trades I do take, of course, I'm going to post them all to Ario. Just every trade I take. I haven't taken any this week yet. Instruments. So, whereas before I was looking at EU and gold, which I was just saying messed up time frames, as in must find something between these times or must find something between those times, I feel, wow, it's totally changed. My relaxed status has gone from like tension through the roof. In fact, that saying which I rather enjoyed coming up with when I used to get asked how deep are we in the shit, and I'd say we're at periscope depth. I'd always got a laugh. That's what I felt like though. In fact, I used that one quite a few times. I was quite pleased with that. I still think it's good. Anyway, so I was just looking at those two instruments now. Pressure's off, so I'm going to get up at 6 still because I like getting up early. My body's tuned to that. Coffee, decaf, whatever. Bite to eat, whatever. Sit down around 7 and then start looking. But the looking is different now. I'm not trying to force anything in certain hours. I'm not forcing a reason to get into a trade. I'm going to let the trades jump off a page at me. So I'm using Decision 5, using Dixie or the dollar to then determine if there's any direction likely in the dollar, and therefore is there any direction likely in the majors, and then looking at which majors have got the highest probability of a move, which look the strongest and weakest, either with or against the dollar, and looking for the higher time frame for our daily levels that we can draw to. So that's great, love that. I love that. Makes so much sense. So then, rather than just being stuck on EU, and I've done this before, I'd look at GU and, oh my god, how's the setup there? But what if? And then NU and NZ, ZD, USD, etc., NZD, USD. So that's all good. So, dollar, majors. Pick strongest or weakest. Maybe there's one or two of each, and then wait for a setup. And then just collect the data. Take your trades, get the feedback, collect the data, review the data, feed forward into the next trade. And then the next thing was the all-time high protocol, which, in the fact that I was only looking at gold, so this would be decision 6, is I'm now looking at, because I'm willing to look from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. Happy to have a chart open. May stick my laptop in the kitchen actually, bring it downstairs, stick it in the kitchen in the evening, so if I ever make a cup of tea I can just have a little look. I feel that would be a good habit actually to get into. Initially I'd look more than, but later on I'm sure that it becomes easier to just discern whether you want to look. But there's no pressure for any particular time, it could be any time in those hours. And then times like now, when I'm out for a walk, alright, I'm hitting the gym, I just accept I'm not trading in those hours. It's not a case of, oh damn, I missed something. I just didn't trade in those hours, that's fine. But generally, I've got the course of the day. And over time I'll collect data as to what time of day I'm trading, and I may even decide to only trade in the afternoons and just skip the mornings, I don't know. That come in time. So, all-time high instruments now. I think that was decision 6. So there's a scope of instruments. So aside from the majors, in the morning, looking at UK 100 in the morning, looking at the DAX in the morning, so the FTSE 100 and the DAX in the mornings. There may even be some levels traded on the NASDAQ and ES, but I feel they're more likely to be later. Gold might move in the morning, but I feel that it's more volatile when I've looked in the afternoons. It's much more volatile in the afternoons. Afternoon in the UK, that is morning in America, East Coast, as is silver. So at the moment I feel the all-time high instruments are good to look at is ES, Nasdaq, so S&P, Nasdaq, DAX, afternoon, yeah, I'm going to look, why not? UK 100 in the afternoon, yeah, why not? If I see a setup, I'll take it. I'll get feedback on it. That's that. I know the market over here closes at 4 p.m, so it might be that after that time. We'll see. If I'm seeing entries at 7 p.m. on a 15 minutes on DAX or UK 100, I may question that. We'll see. For those instances, I may collect the data on those just to look at. So quick recap, whatever I said. One strategy, dropping kill zones, dropping news, as in the harder news requirements of wanting red or amber news or any of that. I wasn't too strict on that, but that's gone. Wider scope of instruments, looking for more hours in a day, but because it's one strategy, then it's simpler. But I think in terms of what I do on the day, I'm going to have a bit out here. Oh, 1 hour. Wow. I head home. And in terms of the course of the day, get up at 6, start at 7, look at the dollar, have a quick look at that. What is it doing? What does it want to do? What are the levels? Then have a look at the majors to see which correspond to the dollar the best. Mark up the levels, maybe set some alerts. And then look at UK 100 and DAX and US Tech and US 500 and gold and silver. And just monitor that through the day. I think do that. And every hour or so, I'll probably be on the chart a lot more than I'm thinking right now to start with, because I'm still in that frame of mind of, oh my God, I need to be working, I need to be down there knuckling down and doing the stuff, I need to be trading, and it's like a machine I'm cranking a handle on, and the faster I can turn the handle, the more trades that happen, and of course that's not the case. But we're all taught from the age of going to school that there's a process to be followed from 9 till 5. And that if you're not following it, you're not doing something correctly. So this is a very much, I think trading is a philosophy, or requires a philosophy. Something, a way of thinking of it. And I guess that was what I was feeling uneasy with yesterday, in a weird way, was it's like, oh my God, I've got to look all day. I've got to look at all these pairs all day and look at the charts, and how's that going to work, and how am I going to balance that with other things? And I guess the question is I don't know how much time it will actually require in the end, and how much of my mental capacity is needed. In the early days, like now, where I'm hyper attuned to absorbing, say, what's going on, and making sure I'm making the right decisions, to maybe in a couple of months from now, maybe 3 months from now, I'm much more relaxed. I've taken 50 trades, 60 trades, whatever. I've got some data, I've shared a lot of it, I've learned from it, and now it's much more, maybe I'm just more relaxed at that stage. I mean, Oreo, he was saying he took 2 trades last week, actual trades, 1 winner, 1 loser, and then 2 he missed, and the 1 he missed was at 5 in the morning for him, so I wouldn't be looking at 5 in the morning for me. So I'm going to ask him, data, trades you miss, even if they're out of hours, do you collect the data on? And what sort of data are you collecting? I'm going to put that question. I think it's a useful question. Is it worth collecting that sort of thing? Because it does expand it quite a bit. Now, he doesn't trade the Forex. He's only looking at all-time high instruments. So he's looking at indices in silver and gold, and he's only trading a 4-hour PDA. Disrespect. Theoretically, if I'm trading 1 hour and 4 hours, then at the very least I'll see more opportunities than he will, because I've got the currencies there. So that might add potentially another layer to it. And also, if I'm dropping an hour, to look at 1 hour levels as well, which I want to do. And in fact, I may want to just focus on 1 hour. That's another question. That's another question for Ario. Then you could easily be looking at a trade a day, easily, maybe 2 a day. So now let's see. So I think, what else? What else comes to mind? I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of clutter that's come out of my head. A lot of clutter. I feel much happier, more satisfied with my approach, and I just have to be patient now. I think one of the things he said yesterday, actually, in the call was, it may be Saturday, but he's not traded for a month, and he wants to give himself a week to just get back into the swing of things, looking at the levels again, marking things out, just paying attention, building himself up back into the swing of trading, which he did. He said he took 2 trades last week, but there are a total of 4, but 2 he missed. So I think that's important. So I did put pressure on myself yesterday to take a trade, which brings me to the point of WTF trading view. But actually, I think what I'm going to do now is just pay a bit of attention to setups. If I'm not sure, monitor it and put the question up. If I feel this very clear, I'm going to take the trade. 0.1% risk. Why not? It's only a tiny amount, but it's still something, isn't it? And then I think that's it, really. It's just a case of get up each day, go through the mechanics. It becomes more and more automated, less and less of a process of, it's like learning the muscle memory of the brain. It's creating the new pathways, the synapse or connections in my brain of the way of thinking, looking for the setup, and just strengthening those so they're absolutely in concrete. And using the next few weeks just, and he says, you're going to make a lot of losses while you're learning. That's fine. It's just, I made a lot of losses and I wasn't learning because I was all over the bloody place, but I suppose I did learn from that. So, yeah, I think it's a good place. It's a good place. And keep joining the calls. That's the other decision. 7. Maybe there's an 8, but 7 is definitely get on the calls Monday, Wednesday and Saturday. Or make sure I've got questions I can paste in there, even if I can't make the call, and I'll just note to say questions, and I'm unable to stay on, I'll follow up on the replay. I think that's really important. And every day, 8, every day going on the Discord, because we're all looking at the same thing mostly. None of them are REO. But I think some of the logic they're saying makes sense. And if there's anything that they're saying that I want the Oreos input on, I'll just put the question to him as well. That's fine. So I just think it's just got to let this play out. There's no need to spend no more countless hours on videos. No. I think the philosophy that I was mentioning ago is one of it's very boring to trade, but in a good way, because particularly over time, as it takes less mental capacity to decide whether something is a trade or not. The better you get at discerning, the more comfortable you get. The more comfortable you get with whatever patterns there are, and therefore the more mental freedom there is to explore other things on the day. Does it mean you can leave the charts? Well, for the gym, decision 10, if I'm going to or a 9, is I look from 7 till 7 because there are no kill zones, and that's that. And if a setup appears in those hours, great. If it doesn't, great. I may find over time that I just prefer 4 hour. In which case, that's theoretically less looking at the chart. But at the moment, I'd like to look at 1 hour and 4 hour. Because I'm happy to put the time into that. And I put that to Oreo yesterday, and he made no comments on it, whether it's good or bad. It was just a yeah. It's like a yeah, that's fine. So yeah, so I think now actually I'll have some alerts set. I'll figure out how to do with the alerts and timers and whatnot, because there'll be certain levels, like I'm out now and then alerts come up on my phone. I'm not rushing to look at it because I want to build some understanding and what happens over the course of a day. Maybe each day write some notes up on it. I might do that just in Notion. I think I've exhausted my thinking on this in a good way. .3 so a bit short than the first. No, it's about the same as my first recording. This was going to be 5 minutes, so I guess next time I shall talk out loud and then create a list, and then I'll just go through my list of points I want to think about. But walking out and about definitely helps. But there we go, nearly at the house. I'll catch us on the other side.